When they say I've dedicated 20 years, it's a bit of a lie. So I'll come back to that one in a second. Over the last few months, I've been thinking, how do I start this presentation? Because there's so much information, there's so much trauma. And I thought, how can I start with a powerful statement? And I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to keep it real. That's the best way to be. Like my grandson would say, Grandad, just keep it real. So I was brought up, I'm going to talk about a notorious household, dyslexic, being a bully, ex-offender, drug addict, and a gang member. But I don't think our journeys are alone. I think every journey that's taken is taken with either family, friends, colleagues. My journey started with my dad coming from Jamaica in the early 50s. For him to make that commitment to better his family, it gives me inspiration now for him to leave his wife and 4 siblings to come into a different country. His initial aim was to come in and make some money, like a lot of Caribbean people, and go back to Jamaica. But he came here and thought, you know what? There's a better opportunity here. There's an opportunity for family and for siblings to give my future siblings a future. The challenge was, being in England, he didn't have the resources. He didn't have enough money because he had to make the money to get the family back from Jamaica to the UK. That was his number one priority. But working down the pit on his hands and knees for 10-hour shifts wasn't going to cut it. Siobhan mentioned we need side hustles. So my dad lived in a place called Burslem. There's only 2 black families in the whole of Burslem in the same street, 100 yards from Port Vale supporter, up the Vale. 300 yards away from the police station. My dad had to use his resources, so he started a community house. He would get all the Caribbean people from all the different areas to come to the house. First, it started off dominoes. They come and play dominoes. My dad would gamble. Then it turned to cards. Next minute, it turned to parties. The shit got serious. My dad needed to up his game. Now, if you don't know what a blues party is, it's like a house party. But our speakers were 10 foot long, 10 foot wide with a bit of bass. You had to pay on the door. My dad cooked food. And he also had drinks. Now, that's great. But when I tell my story and I go through this, I have to say it was the most loving home I could have been in. But behind the scenes, there's a trauma and a dark side. Because when you're having blues parties, it starts at 10 o'clock, finishes at 6 in the morning. As a 6, 7, 8-year-old, we had to do the cleaning up. We had to do the cooking. Well, I didn't do the cooking, I'm exaggerating. We had to go and buy the food. We had to get all the furniture and put it in our bedrooms. You want to try and sleep when you've got furniture, you're trying to sleep in an awkward position, man, it's tough out there. Then the following day, we had to clean up. So every weekend, for about 5 years, my dad had these blues parties and he had these gatherings, and it was a community house, which was great. He needed the money. What was happening on the other side is, my dad and mum were so loving and caring at this point, when my mum came over, there was a lack of time for us. Eventually, my dad had 9 kids. There's 6 brothers, 3 sisters. But during that time, he had to spend time on doing business, on making sure we could eat, making sure that he could pay the bills. And there's a bit of we didn't get that real time with our parents. I hope that makes sense. So we were going through these challenges as youngsters, playing our role, and it was a challenging time. but the house got too small, and just as we're about to leave, my eldest sister got raped by 3 white guys, and it was a case of my sister wanted to abort, but my mum and dad said, no, we'll take him on. I knew nothing about this. I was very young at the time. But going back 6 years ago, I started to write a book about my dad's journey and the family's journey from when he first... I'm still writing, it should be finished next year. And my nephew, who was the boy from my sister, he calls himself a rape baby. And I said, look, Egg, don't tell me his name's Errol, don't tell me anything you don't want me to put in the book. And this is the trauma that he's gone through alone. On top of that, you've got my sister's trauma. She was 17. You've got the family politics. So when I talk about my training academy and what I do, I go into homes and talk to young people who suffer mild trauma, going through the same things that... I can't imagine what Errol went through. I can't imagine what my sister went through. So that's why I do the work that I do. So from this small house, my dad needed a bigger boat. The house was too small. So we moved to a notorious area called Cobridge in Stoke-on-Trent. It's supposed to be the most notorious area in the 70s. And the house, which was 200 Waterloo Road, was officially labelled the most notorious house in Stoke. I loved it. I was 16, yeah, I'm from the mud. What are you talking about? I'm from the most notorious house in Stoke. What are you talking about, man? That's me. It was a 6-bedroom house. It was fantastic. Massive garden. He had a garage in the back. But the main part of the house and the most important part of the house was the basement. Some people called it the cellar. But the basement is where the blues parties happened. Every weekend, we would have a blues party. I'll come back to that. What we realised around the early 70s, we had a lot of mental health in the family. 3 of my sisters had mental health issues. They would end up with narcissist Andrew Tate-like men. My brothers, 4 brothers, had mental health issues, including me. So, from the age of 12 to 16, at school, I was a hard worker. I had the record for attending school from the age of 12 to 16. I wasn't listened to. Nobody understood. I was a hard worker. I had a record attendance. I attended school. I was bottom of the class. And I just wasn't listened to. And this is why I do the work that I do. To help the Maurice Thaws to progress. I went to my careers officer at 16. No disrespect to pot bank workers, but I didn't want to work on a pot bank. I thought I was talented. I was good looking. I had a 6-pack. Do you know what I mean? I thought, lived at Notorious house. I thought, come on. That'll do, come on. And they sent me to a factory. And I took the job because I had no options. If I'd have had an option, I'd have gone to college, I'd have done anything because I was that type of guy. In between that, at home, it was a major bully fest. You know what families are like? We cut deep, don't we? The jokes are bad. I was the darkest in the family. Oh my God. Some of the jokes are brilliant. Hey up, here's Darth Vader. Maurice, what do you want to watch on TV? Black Beauty or Pot Black? Hey up, he's coming in the room. The room's getting dark. You know, all the black dark jokes, they are funny now. But back then, it was traumatizing me. And it took me confidence away. As I know now. But I'm a big boy now, and I've moved on. So, my dad had this community house that was bigger, better, faster, larger. So we would have visitors of the house 24/7, not 24/7. As soon as my dad woke up or a family woke up. So we had the pimps, we had the thieves, we had the drug dealers, we had the gamblers, we had the womanizers, we had the rapists. My dad had a pool table. So all these people were coming to our house from the 70s up to 2000 on a daily, and then we'd have blues parties at the weekend. Now, when you've got 7 brothers, and 3 sisters, and you've got these people coming to your house, I was 16, then you've got the 26-year-olds, the 36-year-olds, the 40, and the 60-year-olds coming to the house, you're going to go one way. You're going to go one way or the other. You're going to go to the dark side, or you're going to see the light. Please don't get me wrong here. Most of my family are seriously successful. I've got millionaire nephews, I've got people with businesses, we've got doctors, we've got business owners. But it's the percentage I work with and we work with who didn't make it. I want to talk about the guys who went to the... It's a bit ironic, I went to the dark side. Dark side? No? Come on, we can laugh now, I can take it, I'm a big boy. I went to the dark side, smoking weed. And you go into this gang culture, you go into this culture, and you don't realise you're going into with your mates, and you know, you start, and next minute you're in a gang. And it's not purposely, you're just in there. And I'm smoking weed, and before I know it, I'm an addict to weed, and I'm a gang member. I've got all these people coming to the house. I've got no confidence. I've got nobody backing me up, nobody talking to me. Where do you think I'm going to end it up? Prison. That's where I ended up. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I did 18 weeks in prison. They put another 18 weeks on top of that. And it's the best thing that ever happened. Never been in trouble since. Got a few parking tickets, a few speedos, you know what I mean? Come on, give us a break. But other than that, not been in trouble since. So, I had a son, it's around 24 years old, but my mindset was, like Kieran said, I've got to leave Stoke. If I don't leave Stoke, I'm going to end up dead, in a prison, or a drug addict. I know what I'm like, you know? So I saw my mates were in these nice cars, and eating Kentucky was a big thing back in the day. Eating Kentucky, man, in a nice car. Oh, what are you doing, mate? What are you doing? He said, we got a sales job. It could be Stafford or Wolverhampton. I said, I'll have a go. I'm good with me mouth. By this time, I was good with me mouth. The reason I'm standing here is because of that bullying, because now I can give it back. I can take the piss big time. I was on point. After 6 or 7 years of that shit, mate, you have to give it back or you get buried. I ain't getting buried for no fucker, mate. I'm a fighter. So my mates I said, I want a job, man. I'm a good talker. So yeah, it's Kirby vacuum cleaners. It's a Kirby home care system. It's an American product. It cleans walls, it does beds, it does your curtains, it shampoos, it dusts, it vibrates. Woohoo! I'll have some of that. I can sell that. They said, Maurice, you've got to be... and what was good about this company, it was like a new family to me. It was positive. So I went to this company, they were shaking my hand. Maurice, come on, we can succeed. They were goal-orientated. It gave me the confidence. I said, I can do that. It was a family where there was no negativity, there was no bullshit, there was targets, there was goals, there was inspiration. That's the family I needed at that point. It was perfect for me. Then they said, Maurice, there's a lot of rejection. Mate, I'm the rejection king, motherfucker. I've been having rejection all my life. It's door knocking. I don't give a shit, mate. I've been through it all. Door knocking's a piece of piss. I was brilliant at it. What was the bonus about this as well? I wanted to move from Stoke because I wanted to find a good woman of my culture. And I moved up the ranks in Kirby. I became a manager. And then this beautiful lady came into the room, black lady, pencil skirt, white socks, nice blouse. The hair was okay, I could work on that later. And I met the woman in my dreams, and she's been with me for 37 years, and she looks after me. She's my heart and soul. She said no first time when I asked. She said no the second time. I would have got done for stalking because I went round the house to look and she saw me. I brought in the big guns, man. Do you want a pizza? She said yes. Boom! Done me! 37 years later, it's all good, my brother. So yeah, Kirby was fantastic for me. It changed my life. And one of the big things about Kirby, and Kieran mentioned it, I've become obsessed with self-education. I've become really obsessed with learning, personal development, because of Kirby and that mentality of goal setting and trying to achieve and trying to be positive and having targets. I was totally obsessed. So from the Kirby days, from today, Anthony Robbins, David Goggins, Alex Hormozi, Zig Ziglar, and all those guys are old school to me now. I would match anybody in how many books I've read, and how many audio. I'd match anybody. And I teach this to young people today, and to you guys. I've got this program called The 7 Pillars of Life. I design programs for specific organisations, and the 7 pillars of life: faith, finance, friends, family. I put education and career as one, and then I've got health and self. So faith, family, friends, finance, education, career, health and self. Every day a young person wakes up with an issue in one of those areas. So do you. And I say to people, okay, what are we going to do about this, guys? And I talk about the support you've got on the phones and AI technology. We've got all the teachers there. We've got all the inspiration. We've got all the help there to improve our lives. And people say, it's tough, Maurice. Listen, I know it's tough and you can rest. But the goal is just make it a better version of you from yesterday to today. Just make a better version of you yesterday. Just 1%. What have you done today to improve? I tell myself this. When I look at TikTok, and I do every day, it's something to do with my growth, my personal. How can I improve? And this is what, look, everybody in this room is a role model. We give back to people, but sometimes we forget to improve ourselves. If you want to be a good husband, a good plumber, a good carpenter, a good salesperson, a good wife, a good lover, we don't do nothing about it. And they say when we look in the mirror, it can be your best friend or your worst enemy. We're not experienced in some of these areas. Sometimes we're not experienced to be good uncles, good fathers, good mothers, good brothers, good carpenters, good bakers. We need help, and it's all there, but sometimes we don't do it. So I've got 1 minute, I've been told. I'm bringing a book out next year about my journey. I want to thank Darren for all his help. Darren's brought me into his fold, and he's such a powerful, it's just a powerful organisation. It's one of my brothers, Colton. He's been in prison since he was 14 years old. He went on to crack cocaine. He went on to monkey dust. He's been on the streets. And Darren's organisation supported my brother over the years of his challenging times as well. So can we just give Darren a round of applause for the work he does? And my final point, which I'll take 1 minute on, you're going to get challenges. I was having a great time. I set my business up in Stoke-on-Trent, and it was working fine. And then 4 weeks ago, I got hit with an illness to do with prostate. And it's not cancerous, but it hit me for 6. And I want to tell you guys, we need to tell people, you're going to get twists and turns and challenges. But we can't let these challenges get us down. So I don't want any sympathy. These are the 4 areas. I've got a community garden in Festival Park, which is 255 square metres. We're looking to help youth and adults in the community. I'm opening a community centre in Hanley that will be a 24/7 training academy to support youth, parents, culture and community, if you want to help there. And finally, I've started a program which is called It Takes a Village that supports youth. It's going to be youth-led, intergenerational support from us, led by youth, where we can teach youth to challenge policy, to get funding, to support employability. And so, yeah, that's me. Thank you, guys.